Hello, this is Ken, and in this video I'm going to show you with a super simple paperclip 10 things that you can do in Illustrator. The cool thing about this is that I'm going to try and show you a couple of ways to do the same thing. Different people, use different techniques, but in this video I'm going to try and show you alternates to some very basic things that you most of the time use in Illustrator. So anyways, let me go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to go ahead and do is set up a grid and then a snap to grid. So the grid is right now is hidden. Let me go ahead and turn that on by going to view and then show grid. The grid is basically all these different lines and little squares right in there. The way I set up mine, you go to edit and then go to preferences and then guides and grid, and then mine is set up at 50 pixels by subdivisions every 10 pixels. So what that means is that the grid line is the thicker bolder line, and then the little squares right in there are those 10 pixel subdivisions. So we go ahead and click OK. After doing that, the next thing that you want to do is again go to view and select snap to grid. Doing that, what it's going to do is that every single time that let me go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more so you can see it. For example, if I take the pen tool and then click right in here, what it's going to do is that the corner that I'm closer to, that anchor is going to like snap right there to that point. Again, for example, if I click right here, not right there on that junction, but if I click right there, then it's gonna go right there, and if I click close to there, it's gonna go up there. So anyways, that's what the grid is and what snap to grid does. Let me go ahead and zoom out right now. Then the next thing that I think that is super important, for any type of work that you do in Illustrator, is to make sure to break things in like smaller pieces so it doesn't become so overwhelming. And I did that right here. This is a paperclip. It looks very simple, but if you think about it, it has different areas or shapes to it. So sometimes, trying to do the whole piece in one chunk can be difficult and frustrating for some people. So one of the things that you can do is look at the different shapes, where you can cut them up, and in that way make your illustration a more like a simpler object. So this is what we want to do right now. Basically, we will start with some lines. Let's see how many lines do we have. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And what I was mentioning before about having alternate ways for these different things to happen, I'm going to set this up at 3 pixels. I can use the line tool right there, just like I did, or I can use the pen tool also. And for example, I can click right here and then drag down, and I can have exactly the same thing. Excuse me. So those are 2 ways of having that part done. Alright, so the next thing that we can do right here is this. For example, you have the lines right in there. Now you can hold the Alt key and then click on the object and drag, and that is going to make another line right in there. Okay, so that's basically, or you can just go, click on the object and then edit and then copy and then paste right in there. Okay, so we have the 4 lines. Now we need to make this object right here. And if you look at that, it's basically a circle, or a semicircle. So what I want to do is right on this palette, go to the ellipse tool, and starting right on that corner, and holding the shift key at the same time, make your circle. Sorry about that, my throat is killing me today. So the next thing that I want to do is use the direct selection tool, and if I move that on top of that circle, every single time that I get close to one of the anchor points, then it's going to show that to me. So I'm going to click on that one, and then I'm going to hit delete right there. Okay, after hitting delete, you have your semicircle right there. Another way of doing that is like this. You grab the pen tool, and then remember that we divided this by 10 little squares right there. So we will come down to the number 5 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So click right there, and then again we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click right here, and then by holding the shift key, start dragging, and when the two handlebars reach those the 10 pixel mark, you let go, and you have 1/2 of that. Okay, the next thing you want to do is click right in there on that anchor point, so you can have only one handlebar right there, and then you're gonna come up here, click, hold shift, and and then do the same for that side. There you go. You have the exact same thing. Personally, I think that making a circle and then deleting that anchor point on the top, it's faster, easier, and it gives you a really accurate result. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we have one semicircle that comes in this way, and then we have the other two that go the other way. So you have two options. You click on the object, you hold down the Alt key, and then you drag to the side, and then you have a copy of that. Okay? Now, to rotate, you have, again, a couple of ways of doing it. You hold down the Shift key, and then you start rotating, and there you have it. The next option that you have is this. You select the first object, and then you right click, then you go to transform, and then you go to reflect, and in this case it's going to be a horizontal move that we need to make. If you hit on the preview, then it's going to show you what it's going to do. So we need a horizontal turn. In this case, if you click OK, then it's going to only rotate that object that you have selected. But if you hit copy, then it's going to make a copy of that. So now you have, again, your second copy that you needed. So a couple of ways of doing that. All right, so let's make this interesting and start assembling the different pieces. All right, so let me go ahead and move those to, move those right here, and move this one right over here. So if you take a look at that, we have that line and then this bottom piece right there, okay? And then we have another line that comes up like that. And trust me, you can go ahead and start making adjustments later on. You don't have to make it perfect, from the get-go. If I go like that, then this is simply going to cap it. So what I'm going to do is select this object, hold down the shift key, and then come down a couple of notches, maybe 2. Don't worry about this being a little bit thinner right now. We will fix it in just a moment. And then take the second line and then put it right there. Okay, so we're almost done with this paperclip. Again, we take this guy and we put it right here. As you can see, it's not fitting properly. So you will hold the shift key and then make it a little bit larger. Okay, and then after you have that, you take this line and you will put it right over there. Okay, now this looks okay, but it's not quite perfect. We might need to move this up a little bit more, you know, just to make it look more like a paperclip, a little bit more realistic. So what we need to do is we move this up. Now we need to bring those lines to meet those points. All right, and if you notice, it looks a little bit strange because the different, you know, lines, they have different thicknesses. You select everything, and then what you want to do is pull down on the stroke and then go down to 3 points. If you don't have this palette right here, you can find it right over on window. It's under stroke. Then let's see. Okay, so pretty much that paperclip is done. All right, so the next thing that you may want to do is give it a little bit more of a realistic look. So this is, I call that like a faux metal piece, you know, because it's really not a gradient. It's just the main shape with an outline of itself inside it. So what I'm doing right here, we need to select all the objects, and we want to make sure that we can join them, make them one single piece. So a lot of people might think, okay, let me go to Pathfinder and then go to Shapes and then Unite. But if I do that, that's not going to work. As you can see, it gives me this, you know, it looks cool, but it's not the shape that I was hoping for. So let me go ahead and click on Control Z and undo that. So what I need to do is take all of these objects, and again, let me show you a couple of ways of doing that. Let me make a copy of that. You take everything and then you can go to Object and then Expand. This box will open up and then it's going to say Fill and Stroke, and you just click OK. Now you have all these objects have been expanded. They're no longer you know, simple lines or strokes, you know, as before, that you can edit. So when I select everything and then I go to Pathfinder again and then I hit Unite, then it works, because these are not, you know, like single strokes anymore. So that's one way of doing that. The second way of doing that is a little bit more complicated. It takes more time, but it's worth knowing because you might use it in a different project. So as you can see, if I highlight all these things, every single one of these little squares is an anchor point. So it shows me where the stroke starts and where it ends. So what I want to do is click on the direct selection tool, and in this case, we're going to click right here where this piece joins with this line, and then if you do Control J, that joins that. That's the command to join that piece. And again, we need to do it right there. Control J, and right here, Control J, Control J, Control J, and Control J. And now you have basically what we did in maybe 2 clicks right here. Okay, so worth knowing both of those ways or techniques of doing something. Then let's see, the next thing that we need to do is this. Let's go ahead and select that object. By the way, if you're keeping notes, after expanding this, we are on the last step right here, which is, you know, offsetting the path of this object. So once you have everything selected, let me go ahead and change it to a color that is more appropriate. Select everything and then go to Object and then go to Path and then Offset Path. Now the Offset Path tool gives you the option of going with positive numbers or negative numbers as well. So in this case, let me go ahead and do a -1 and see how that looks. And that looks about right. So we can click OK. Now if you notice, the inside of it is selected. You can't tell the difference because it's exactly the same color as the outside. So by just using a different color, then you can see the difference on how it looks. All right. So once that is done, you're basically done with the paperclip. But along the way of making this, I think that we learn a few different ways of doing things and a few techniques that maybe or maybe not you had explored in the past. So anyways, I hope that this tutorial is something that you can use and something that you can learn from. If you have questions or if you have comments, go ahead and let me know. If you like the video, press that like button, and if you like to share, that will be awesome. Thank you very much, and until the next time.